Peace and love, family. Welcome to U.S. Political Prisoners and You, brought to you by the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition and EPPC. I'm Brother Frank, and I'm with my brother Tyreek. What's going on, my brother?
Peace, Frank. I am to the listeners and to the viewers. I am Tyreek. I am a Black Panther. I am a former member of the Black Liberation Army. I spent 17 years in numerous American death camp prisons as a political prisoner of war. So I'm very happy to be before you today.
Yes, thank you. Well, welcome to Black History Month, right? This is day number 4, the fourth day of Black History Month. I hope those who are viewing are taking this time very seriously because, or this month rather, not to say that other months you shouldn't take as serious, but when we talk about Black History Month, we talk about its importance. We talk about Carter G. Woodson creating this. It started off from a week and then it went to a month, and it allows us to reflect on who we are, to know our foundation. So now we think about what's going on currently with ICE. We think about the issues that we have to continue to fight for food, clothing, and shelter. And we have to look at our history and what did we do at what particular time, and what did we learn from it, and how can we take those lessons and apply them today. Today we'll be talking about Nat Turner, his life, what it meant to us, and how we can utilize that to deal with what's going on. Before I get deeper into the discussion, I just want to just go over his life, right, and have us to get an understanding of what was going on during that time, and what motivated him to do what he did in terms of being a serious professional revolutionary. So Nat Turner was born on Benjamin Turner's plantation in Southampton County, five days before the execution of the African American revolutionary Gabriel Process in Richmond, Virginia. Turner's father, whose name is unknown, but was also a Benjamin Turner slave, successfully escaped and is believed to have spent his life in the Great Dismal Swamp, which lies in southern Virginia and in North Carolina, with other escaped African Americans as Maroons. Turner's mother, a slave named Nancy, who was kidnapped from Africa in 1793, believed that he was destined for great things in his life, and she instilled this sense in him that he acquired literacy in his boyhood, added weight to his mother's convictions. Turner also accepted Christianity in his youth, became a preacher, and identified religion with freedom. He claimed to receive religious visions throughout his life. Turner sought his own freedom, running away in 1821 after he had become the property of Benjamin Turner's son Samuel. When Samuel Turner hired a harsh overseer, Nat Turner escaped, remaining free for approximately a month. During that time, he experienced a vision indicating that he would lead a slave rebellion, and he returned to the plantation to await his signal to begin. Between 1825 and 1830, Turner became a popular preacher to African American congregations throughout Southampton County. His sermons focused on conflict and liberation and gained him many followers, some of whom believed he was a prophet. Traveling from church to church allowed Turner to gather the knowledge he needed to organize his revolt, such as road locations and hiding places. In February 1831, Turner, who was now at the home of Joseph Travis, believed that an eclipse of the sun signaled that the time had come for him to launch his rebellion. He recruited 4 other slaves, and they developed several plans before accepting one and deciding to begin on a symbolic date of July 4th. However, Turner fell ill and the revolt was delayed. On August 13th, Turner interpreted a bluish green sky as a positive signal. The group agreed to strike after midnight on August 22nd. The uprising began at the Travis home, where the rebels killed everyone in the household. Turner initially intended to move from house to house, killing whites regardless of age and sex. He hoped that the show of force would intimidate neighboring whites and encourage other slaves to join the rebellion. After they had obtained a foothold, they agreed that the wholesale slaughter would cease. Turner's destination was Jerusalem, Virginia. The Southampton county seat and home of an arsenal that would allow the insurgents to arm themselves adequately. As the band moved from house to house, more slaves joined the rebellion until they eventually numbered, 60 or 70. With this growth, the rebels were weakened because they became less organized and they lost the element of surprise that had worked so effectively. The militia that met the insurrectionists on Monday afternoon retreated soon after, but it intended to reorganize and return. When the slave army stopped at James Parker's farm for fresh recruits and supplies, the militia, which had regrouped, struck again. Turner's army was dispersed, and though Turner's attempted to rally his troops, white reinforcements arrived and began a brutal counterattack in which they killed more than 100 blacks. Turner survived and fled, eluding his captors until October 30th. He was quickly tried, sentenced to death, and hanged in Jerusalem, Virginia on November 11th, 1831. While awaiting execution, he told his story to his court appointed attorney, Thomas Gray. The result was an extraordinary account of life of the rebellion, which Gray published as Nat Turner's Confessions. Turner's rebellion lasted almost 3 days, killed 57 people, and resulted in the execution of more than 100 African American rebels. Some call this rebellion the first war, the Civil War being the second. Turner's rebellion was significant in that it was more violent than any other slave uprising and reshaped the debate over slavery in ways that led to the Civil War a generation later. The uprising intensified both the anti-slavery movement and the corresponding pro-slavery forces. It mentioned the notion held by some abolitionists that slaves would be willing to fight if outside forces organized and armed them. Pro-slavery forces began to endorse reducing the number of free blacks through colonization. Turner's rebellion also disproved the myth of the contented slave and proved that African Americans would die to end slavery. So just want to give you an idea of who he was and what he was about. So we can reflect on that. Now I want to proceed with the questions that I normally have when you come on, brother. And I appreciate you co-hosting with me when the time you have, because it's very important that somebody who is former political prisoner, such as yourself, somebody who is also a member of the Black Liberation Army, as well as the Black Panther Party, who can speak from a firsthand account as what it is to be a political prisoner and the importance that that we have to bring them home and not let them die in prison. So my first question, brother, is why is Black History Month important in 2026?
So I want to begin by saying that Frank, when I talk to people about Nat Turner, I call him a relative of mine, a family member, and that is to say, I'm not trying to distance myself from him or from the whole process of the liberation struggle. So I tell people that Nat Turner is a real relative of mine, a family member. And in terms of this being before I go into the answer that question, in terms of this being Black History Month, I think we should point out that Carter G. Wilson did a very good thing by creating Black History Week and the week morphing into a month. And it was something that was very needed. And Mr. Wilson, our brother Wilson, stepped up to the plate and did what was needed. And that is he established the fact that he destroyed a lot of myths that had been put out about Black people. And one of the myths is that Black people was ignorant, and they are just now learning that. And just to take one example of the pyramids, they say those persons who built the pyramids, they was using base 2 mathematics, and they was using natural logarithms. And I know a lot of professors out there don't even know what is being talked about when I say base 2 and I say natural logarithm. And natural logarithm is a mathematical process that's best approached using a calculator or a computer. But our people had that back then. And back then, we had that back in ancient time, antiquity, as it were. And they also were saying when Mr. Wilson created Black History Week that Black people were cowards, and then persons had to step forward, like Mr. Wilson, and point out that our people were in the position that we were in, and was in the position that we were in back then, because the colonizers had the Maxim gun that was like the first machine gun, and that our people were proved themselves to be very courageous when dealing with even the machine gun. And also, they were saying that our people had to be saved by the colonizers coming there, educating us, and that is what saved us. But Mr. Wilson pointed out in Black History Week that was not the case, and those were myths that was being advocated by the colonizer. So I just want to say that about Mr. Wilson, and say that about the fact that we are into Black History Month, and that's a very important thing. And the question was, why is Black History Month important? It's important because we have been in a information war, and that is uh, our soldiers, the persons who should be on our side as soldiers, are standing on the side, as it were, standing on the sidewalk, because they have our people have been controlled by the colonizer and have been educated by the colonizer, and they have been taught reading, writing, and math, arithmetic, to be able to do these things in order to get a job working in the colonizer system, working in the colonizer capitalist system. And so that is not enough information. Our people need to know that they are Africans. They need to know what has happened in the world and what is happening in the world, and they don't have this information. And revolutionaries have to provide this information, and other concerned persons have to provide this information, because our people do not have that information. And so we are in an information war, and our soldiers will not step forward until they get the correct information, until they get a lot of information that's not given to us by the colonizer. And that is why we have this program here today, so that the matter of Black History Month is important. It's very, very important, because our people need to know a lot of things, and then they will behave differently, so that Black History Month attempts to address this absence of information that our people do not have. So that's why it's very important, and we have to remember that people be saying, "What, the police kill a person here or there, and they may kill 100 or so people in a year." But we had a conference not too long ago, a, 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 a tribunal, as it were, dealing with charging America administration with carrying out genocide against Black people. And it was pointed out that numerous Black people, and I estimate between 800 and 1,100 Black people, are being killed every day in the United States. And that's what our people do not know. And that is why they are standing on the sideline. And that is why they're working and trying to get paid instead of fighting for their life. But they do not know that the colonizer is killing between 800 and 1,100 people a day. And that is why it is important that we have a Black History Month to reveal this information to our people, so that they will behave appropriately in the genocidal situation that we are in. And it's about to get worse, because America is broke. They have cut out 20% from the food stamp budget. They have cut $1 trillion from the Medicaid budget, and they intend to cut out more, because less people are buying American bonds, so that they do not have the money that they used to have to do deficit spending. And so they intend to uh, cut the budgets more, and it's going to hurt Black people. And so we see these people, the ICE people they are the tip of the spear that the colonizer is trying to direct white people to attack immigrants, and they're trying to direct white people to attack Black people, saying that Black people have jobs that they don't deserve, that they got through affirmative action and the DEI programs. And those jobs, the administration, the present administration is saying that those jobs should rightfully go to white people. And that is another way of telling white people that they should attack black people and immigrants for having took jobs away from them. And when the fact is, the jobs were moved overseas by the rich industrialists, and they have moved millions of jobs overseas. They going after Jose and Joe and Larry to get their job, and they're saying that Joe and Harry, the immigrants, have taken jobs, one or two jobs from white people, but the rich people have moved millions of jobs overseas to Mexico, to India, to Bangladesh, Thailand, Singapore, places like that. They have moved millions of jobs overseas. And this administration, when the present president was a president the first time, he was trying to get Congress to craft a legislative instrument that would have enabled him to arrest the rich industrialists who have moved the jobs, millions of jobs overseas. Now you can Google that. And so now the technocrats who run things are telling the present administration, telling Mr. Trump to obey and tell the white people that really the fault of the situation that they're in is because of immigrants and blacks having undeservingly taken jobs away from white people. And so that is why we need a Black History Month. And we need it in 2026 to inform our people, give them information that they should have got years ago, but they don't have it today. And that is why it is important that we have a Black History Month.
Absolutely, and it gives us the basis by which we need to address our current situation. Uh, I want to, before I go into the next question, I want to evaluate based on the information that we learned when we talked about Nat Turner. We talked about his uprising. We talked about his ability to recruit. We talked about his putting everything on the line, right? Because he knew the possibilities of being caught. He knew the possibility of being tortured. He knew the possibilities of being in prison, right? So we can definitely uh, relate him. Well, he was a political prisoner, even though it was for a few days. But I just want to look at his attributes, right? And his attributes are the same attributes that our political prisoners have, because we want to remind ourselves about who we come from and who we continue to need to be, right? Our political prisoners are in prison, and they embody these attributes just like Nat Turner did, and they are the commitment, sacrifice, and the ability to raise the consciousness of people around them. They put it all on the line, and they were visionaries, and that's exactly what Nat Turner is. And we will continue to recognize his contribution to our liberation struggle by continuing to talk about him, educating ourselves, and making sure that we connect people to him, right? We connect our political prisoners to Nat Turner, and we fight to bring them home, right? We don't want to see them die in prison. We don't want to see them continue to be tortured, right? Because to not be around your family, to not engage them, to live that life is social torture. So second question is, what are the politics of Nat Turner?
Nat Turner, as we know, he was like the one of the first liberation theologists, and he equated the discussion that he found in religion. He said he felt that the religion was mainly about gaining freedom, and he was a liberation theologist, and so he would quote from the Bible. And I should point out that Nat Turner was a carpenter, which meant that he knew math, and it meant that he knew how to read, and so he was reading. Although as a slave, it was illegal for Nat Turner to have learn how to read and learn how to write, but he did learn how to read and learn how to write, and so we should know that, and we should know that he felt that religion was a real good had contained a real good discussion about becoming free, and much of the Bible talks about the difficulties people encounter and then becoming free, and that's what our brother Nat Turner related to the people, and he related to the people that they could build a nation and they could be free and they could provide housing for themselves and they could provide jobs for themselves. They could provide food for themselves and clothing for themselves. And this is what our present day political prisoners are talking about. And this is why the billionaires are very upset with us because we are saying that the money that's available and the resources that can be converted into money, the resulting money that's gotten from that process should be used for the benefit of the entire population. And that's what Nat Turner was talking about, and that's what uh, propelled him, fueled him to go forward the way he did. And that's what fuels our political prisoners to go forward, is to attain those things, housing, clothing, food, and shelter for our people, and so that our people will not have to be in harm's way the way we are presently. And this is why our enemies hate us, because instead of them having jet planes and housings in various countries and housing in various cities, mansions in various cities, the money could be used for financing persons to go to medical schools, to find out cures to cancer and diabetes and that sort of thing. And the rich people, they don't want that because they feel that we're all people that are not rich are just useful idiots and persons that can be used. And if you haven't become a billionaire, then you are a worthless person. And so you don't deserve to have these things that we are talking about, that revolutionaries are talking about obtaining for the people, and that Nat Turner went forward to try to obtain for Black people at that time. So that's what uh, his attributes, the politics of Nat Turner. As I say, he was a liberation theologist, and he went forward to obtain the things that I talked about. So that's what our political prison. That's a connection, the nexus between Nat Turner and the present day political prisoner. And our people basically, our political prisoners basically have the same political outlook as Nat Turner.
Right. So, Nat Turner understood what it means to be a Christian, right? He understood that he had to be about freedom. His religion was freedom, and he advocated for that, and he did what he had to do, right? And so, those of you who are claiming to be a part of a faith-based institution, right? Well, that's what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be advocating for freedom. You're supposed to be making sure that you are aligned with people who are doing the work to advance the people, to liberate the people, to make sure people self-determination, right to self-determination is protected. So we call on those institutions to advocate for the freedom of our political prisoners, right to Ronald Reed, right to Kamal Siddiqui, and make sure you know what you can do as a group, right? Because if you talking to a faith-based institution, you're talking about hundreds, 100 people, or even more than that. So all these people can write to the board when our political prisoners go up to the board, and they could also put pressure on the governor to release our political prisoners. Like we have that ability, we have that skill to do it. We just have to activate it. What you was about to say, my brother?
I just want to point out that in terms of being a liberation theologist, Nat Turner was a liberation theologist, and he had to be a liberation theologist on the down low, because had the colonizer, the slave master, recognized that Nat Turner was preaching the gospel of liberation, then they would have killed him. And that's the same thing that exists today. So that we are not mad with the preachers and other persons, religious persons who are not preaching liberation theology, because we know that in this society, no good deed goes unpunished. And that is why persons are preachers and so on are not liberation theologists, because they know the government of the United States will kill them if they try to free the slave. And we know persons who are liberation theologists, and we know that the government is attacking them for preaching the gospel of liberation. So we understand that. So we're not in in the faces of preachers who are not liberation theologists. But we do encourage them that when you get a chance, provide some liberating information to the people.
Right. So, my next question is, why is Nat Turner not mentioned as a political prisoner?
I think Nat Turner was not mentioned as a political prisoner. Is not mentioned as a political prisoner because his captivity was so short lived. Nat Turner, when he was captured, I think he stayed in captivity about 3 or 4 days before they executed him. And I should point out that because of that short period of time, people don't know that he was held as a political prisoner. That point, while he was being held, he was regarded as a political prisoner. And so, but it was for such a short period of time. And I just wanted to say that Nat Turner, they really dealt him bad once they caught him. They chopped his head off. They took his head and sent it to a laboratory for them to study it to see what kind of black person that was. And they dismembered him and gave out parts of his body to persons in the crowd. They had a celebration when they cut off parts of him to give it out to the crowd because they wanted to instill fear in the black people to say that this is what will happen to you should you decide to think for yourself and to decide to do for yourself and try to help other black people, that you will suffer the same or similar type punishments. And so we want to know that that is what happened to Nat Turner, and we want to know this is very important. People who do that, who bomb boats with rockets and that sort of thing, they are afraid of the people and they wish to instill fear in the people so that the people will not organize and go forward to their liberation, because all that stands between liberation and slavery is the fact that we are unorganized and we are without information. It's not that we don't have guns, it's that we don't have the information, because it's the rulers, the 1%, are such a small minority of severely abused children, insane, severely abused children. And that's the only kind of person that will kill millions of people and let millions of people die, is a severely abused child who has been driven insane. And that's what the rich ruling class are: severely abused children who have been driven insane. And so that we want to know that uh, they are afraid, and that's why they are bombing people. That's why they executed the petty. Uh, that's why they executed Sally Renee Good, because they are afraid and they wish to make us afraid so that we will not organize and get them. So we have them outnumbered like 1,000,000 to 1. And so all we have to do is get organized. Get First we have to learn what we need to know. And then once we learn what we need to know, get organized, and we can go forward and we will be free and not let them intimidate us by having executed the petty who first they took his gun and then they shot him up. So it wasn't the fact that he had a gun. He didn't have a gun because one of the police had the gun in his hand. So it wasn't the fact that he had a gun is the reason why they executed him. They executed him to make us afraid of organizing and going forward to free ourselves. So once we know that, we're good to go.
Absolutely. So my final question, and it came at a good time because we're about to end this episode, this important episode. So please like, please share, please make sure you support Black Power Media. We need to secure our own media. Please, if you have not subscribed to Black Power Media, please do so, and encourage at least 10 people to subscribe to Black Power Media, because we are engaged in a war of ideas. And Black Power Media gives us the right ammunition that we need to engage in this war of ideas. So my last question is, how does Nat Turner's life relate to the lives of our current political prisoners in the United States?
Uh, Nat Turner's life is relative to the lives of our current political prisoners because Nat Turner embodied the belief that he was an intelligent person. He embodied the belief that he was a courageous person. And he embodied the belief that he was a human being, the most valuable entity in the world. And I know that our political prisoners have those same beliefs. They believe that they are intelligent. They believe that they are courageous. They believe that they make good decisions and that they are capable of making good decisions. And they don't need a degree to do that either. And they believe that our current political prisoners believe themselves to be human beings, the most valuable entity in the world. And I'm sure that's what Nat Turner felt when he went forward. He felt those same qualities cruising through his veins, and that is what propelled him and enabled him to go forward the way he did, and that is what enabled our political prisoners to go forward the way he did. And like with Nat Turner, we are talking about Nat Turner, and we're talking about him 100 years after he passed, and that is going to be the case with our political prisoners. Jamil Elamine, Seth Hayes, Fitzgerald, Brother Fitzgerald here, all of these people, Mutulu and them,
Sekou Denga.
they did not die in vain.
Uh,
And we're going to remember them forever.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to keep up this work. We're going to keep fighting. We're going to keep organizing because that's how we keep them alive. So with that being said, remember Nat Turner. Remember his sacrifice. Remember his commitment. Remember that, like Nat Turner was a political prisoner, we still have political prisoners, and we got to bring them home. We can do it because it's our responsibility, and in us is that fight to bring them home. So that being said, y'all know the call, free them all.
Free them all.